Okay, let's jump right into a really specific corner of the crypto world today. We're talking about the Pi network ecosystem.
Right. It's definitely a space with a very passionate community and some, well, interesting technical stuff happening.
Exactly. And today we're doing a deep dive based on one particular source. It's a YouTube video that gives us a kind of snapshot of recent activity.
Yeah, so our mission is to unpack what this specific video talks about. Things like, CircleCI, Stellar Horizon.
And that big community topic, GCV, the global consensus value, we're going to pull out the key things just from this one source.
Okay, so where should we start? How about with an insight the video highlighted early on, something shared by Mr. Damasanawi on his X page?
Damascenoy, okay, what did he share?
Well, he talked about a development they called the dual value for pi.
The dual value. Okay, that sounds intriguing. What did the source say this involves?
So as the video described it, this dual value seems to carry both. Well, in a way, which they translated as fractional or maybe partial advantages, and a platform price. So two components.
Right, fractional advantages and a platform price.
And what's really interesting is the video claimed this development is already at an advanced stage.
An advanced stage where...
On the CircleC protocol.
Okay, CircleC, let's maybe get a bit technical for a second. The source brings up CircleC quite a bit. What is that according to the video and what's happening there?
So based on this video, CircleC is a protocol that's built on Stellar.
On Stellar. Got it.
And it's described as like a hub for software development activity within the Pi context.
A development hub. Makes sense.
The video specifically pointed out that there's constant work happening, continuous integration, and continuous deployment.
CI/CD. So active, ongoing coding.
Right. Happening right now on CircleC.
And where is all this, intense coding effort leading? What's the immediate goal?
According to the video, this activity is specifically geared towards testing on Stellar Horizon.
Testing on Horizon. Okay.
And it also involves implementing Soroban smart contracts.
Soroban. That's Stellar's smart contract platform, isn't it?
That's the one. So bringing smart contract capabilities into the Pi ecosystem via Stellar.
Okay, so this is pretty significant technical groundwork. What does the source say is the ultimate aim of all this technical heavy lifting?
The video states the intention is to really enhance the quality of the whole ecosystem's infrastructure.
Infrastructure quality.
Yeah, they use the term CA cogent as translated in the source. The goal is making things run really efficiently and precisely.
Efficient and precise execution. Okay, that sounds foundational. Enhancing the core system.
Exactly.
Now, the video also mentioned a specific person involved in this, right? A developer named Kosasi?
Yes, Mr. Kosasi. He was highlighted specifically as a developer working directly on this CircleC protocol.
Directly involved, okay.
And the video even gave a specific detail. It pointed to his account on CircleC and mentioned successful documentation he'd posted just like 2 days before the video itself was made.
Wow, okay, so very recent activity. That makes it quite concrete.
Yeah, it suggests things are actively moving.
And the video also connected Kosasi to something else critical, didn't it? Something about price oracles.
That's right. He wasn't just linked to the CircleC work, but also mentioned in relation to developing price oracle.
Okay. And this is maybe where that dual value idea we started with begins to connect to the wider picture, how Pi's value might work.
Precisely. It seems to tie into how the network interacts with, value in the outside world.
Okay, this is where it starts getting really interesting, I think. How does this planned dual value system, according to the video, actually interact with transactions, with external markets?
So the video explained that the plan is to integrate this dual value system into Pi's smart transactions.
Integrated into smart transactions. And who or what is supposed to execute this integration?
The entity named was the Pi Oracle Chainlink.
Chainlink. Okay, that's a big name in the Oracle space. Many people listening will know Chainlink. What specific role does the video say Chainlink is playing for Pi here?
Well, the video described Chainlink essentially acting as an intermediary, like a bridge.
The bridge between
the Pi network ecosystem and the outside world. Its job, according to the source, is to communicate what's happening inside the Pi ecosystem.
Communicate what specifically?
Things like the price of Pi that's observed in actual use, like from stores and services where people might be using Pi.
So it's meant to be gathering real-world transaction data about Pi's price from within its own ecosystem.
That seems to be the idea presented, yes. Gathering that internal utility-based price information.
Okay. And what does Chainlink do with that information regarding the currency's value? What's its function then?
The video stated that Chainlink's purpose in this setup is to determine the daily value of the currency.
Based on that real-world internal data it collects?
Based on that data, yes. That's how the source portrayed its function.
Connecting the currency's value directly to its actual use via a major Oracle network like Chainlink. That feels like a pretty significant point the source is making.
It definitely stood out.
The video also mentions something else coming down the line, a decentralized exchange, a DEX.
Absolutely. It mentioned a major decentralized exchange is apparently on its way.
A major DEX for Pi.
That's what the video claimed, yes.
Yeah.
And it said this DEX will list Pi,
Yeah.
and importantly, it'll implement this same Chainlink price oracle we were just discussing.
So the Oracle isn't just theoretical, it's tied to this upcoming DEX listing Pi.
According to this source, yes. The oracle is integral to how Pi will function on this DEX.
And does our developer Kusasi figure into this DEX part as well?
He does, actually. The video specifically noted that Kosasi was also the developer connected with the price oracles for this specific upcoming DX.
So he's involved in both the core protocol work and the Oracle implementation for the exchange.
Apparently so. The video reference work he did related to the DX oracles from about 2 weeks before the video was created.
Okay, so he seems pretty central based on this source. It really ties the deep technical work directly into potential future market activity.
It connects those dots, yeah.
Which inevitably brings us to, well, the elephant in the room, maybe. That huge, ambitious number mentioned repeatedly in the video, GCV, the global consensus value.
You really couldn't miss it. The number 314,000 USD, it kept popping up.
314,000 US dollars.
Yep. The video even showed what it claimed were code snippets featuring that exact number.
Wow, okay. That is quite a specific and very, very high target value. And how did the video connect Chainlink to this GCV?
Well, this is another really striking claim in the video. It explicitly stated that Chainlink's purpose within this whole system is to help the ecosystem in going to the consensus value.
To help it get there.
Yes. And then it immediately identified that consensus value as being 314,000 USD.
So wait, according to this source, the Chainlink Oracle isn't just passively reporting a value based on usage. It's actively intended to facilitate reaching that specific 314K target.
That's exactly what the video seemed to be saying, that the Oracle mechanism itself is part of the strategy to achieve that GCV.
That's a very strong claim about the Oracle's function, quite different from just reflecting market price.
It is. It's a particularly notable interpretation presented in the video.
The video also mentioned something about the code complexity, didn't it? Relating to this GCV.
It did, yeah. It touched on the Pi Network ecosystem's code being very complex. Mentioned needing to understand things like YADA code on CircleC.
YADA code, okay.
And it reiterated seeing that 314,000 USD value embedded within these complex code samples it showed.
Implying that this huge target isn't just like a community hope or slogan.
But potentially, according to this source's interpretation of the code shown, part of the actual system design. That seemed to be the implication.
Right, okay. Given that incredibly high target, it makes sense that the video also talked about different perspectives within the community on how to actually get there, how to reach this 314K GCV goal. What approaches did it mention?
It outlined a couple of different viewpoints or maybe strategies. One was described as coming from the classic GCV Association.
The classic GCV Association. Okay, what's their approach according to the video?
As presented in the source, their method involves things like organized meetings, setting specific goals, and using mandatory orders for people who support that 314K value.
Mandatory orders? That sounds quite forceful.
Well, the video made a point to clarify that this is framed by them as ensuring fairness, not as a punishment. That was an explicit clarification in the source.
Okay, so a more structured, maybe coordinated approach within that group focused on commitment to the value.
That seems to be the gist of how it was presented.
And what was the other perspective mentioned?
The video called them the ecosystem supporters.
Ecosystem supporters?
Yeah.
And their view.
Their perspective, as described, aligns more with that whole dual value concept we talked about earlier.
Ah, the factional advantages and platform price idea.
Exactly. They seem to support the idea of the ecosystem having those two distinct value aspects.
So it sounds like maybe different methods or philosophies on how value accrues or should be established.
Perhaps different strategies, yeah.
Did the video say anything about their ultimate destination, despite these different approaches?
Yes. And this was presented as a key point of unity. The video highlighted that, despite the differing methods or ways of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Both groups ultimately aim to reach that same 314,000 USD consensus value.
Both aiming for 314K.
That's what the video explicitly stated. The hope across these different viewpoints within the community is apparently to achieve that specific, very high value.
Okay. So let's try and sort of recap what we've pulled out from this particular YouTube source. It's given us a glimpse, hasn't it?
It really has. We've looked at the technical work described on CircleC using Stellar Horizon, implementing Sorbonne smart contracts.
Right, the infrastructure building blocks.
We learned about key figures mentioned, like the developer Kosasi, and his apparent role in both the core tech and the oracles.
Yeah, and the role of Chainlink, as described in the source, connecting the ecosystem to real-world value concepts and this upcoming DX.
And of course, looming over it all, that ambitious 314,000 USD global consensus value target.
Plus the different community viewpoints mentioned on the path to actually getting there.
Exactly. It's a snapshot of a specific moment, showing both, complex technical development happening.
And this incredibly strong community focus on achieving a very particular, very high valuation.
It's quite a blend, isn't it? That mix of intricate code and this powerful collective aspiration.
So what does this all mean for you listening in? This deep dive into just one video source suggests that while specific technical foundations are reportedly being laid, work is actively being done.
Yeah, aiming to connect the network to real-world data using oracles, potentially integrating with the DEX.
And crucially, it reveals how, according to this source, a significant part of the community, and maybe even elements within the code itself, seem intensely focused on reaching that very specific, very high consensus value of 314,000 USD.
Which really leads to a big question for you to think about, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Given these technical building blocks being described, and this strong community drive towards such a high GCV, what level of actual real-world utility?
Yeah, like transactional volume or real economic activity.
Exactly. What level of that do you think would ultimately be needed to genuinely support and, frankly, justify such a massive valuation for Picoin in the long run?
That's the multi-million-dollar question, perhaps quite literally in this case. Something to definitely ponder as you watch how this Pi Network story continues to unfold.